All right. We all got our roles. I'm the clueless MC that knows how a Mac desktop works. But Luke, I might give you a little role actually. If ever you feel that the conversation is like a bit in like a dead end or something, or it's not moving along, just hit right and like pull in a different slide, and that hopefully might nourish the conversation a little bit. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves first of all. I think we should go from right to left with a little bit of who you are, what you want to say, what your experiences are, and then just kind of vibe off each other and see where it goes. I trust you all to bring your experiences and your knowledge to the team. So, Circular Economies, let's welcome our panel.
Thank you. So my name is Luke. I'm from Colorado. I've been working towards, my wife and I, building a circular economy in Buena Vista, Colorado. We started a Facebook page called BV Bitcoin, so it's a group, BVs for Buena Vista. And really our goal is to educate people as much as possible and use the synergy from those people understanding Bitcoin to then approach businesses and try to provide them with incentives for how for them to start accepting Bitcoin. Kind of what drives this is that my wife and I are probably 90 to 95% Bitcoin only, and we only operate in the fiat as little as possible for things that we can only pay fiat for. So one of the motivations is if we can buy our beef with Bitcoin, if we can have our community be self-sustaining in Bitcoin, that's how we get to 100% opt out of this system. And so that's kind of just the background of where I'm coming from.
Hi everyone, my name's Cole. I've been in Bitcoin since 2015. I first heard about it in 2013, and I thought it was a scam because I didn't understand it. But then the light bulb kind of turned on in my head, not fully, but a little bit. And then it was like, what if I learned to understand it? Maybe this could be my life raft or my lifeboat out of that 9 to 5 that I didn't. I mean, I was okay with it at the time, but I wanted to have like a freedom over my time, right? And Bitcoin has given me that today amongst many other people who are into Bitcoin. And I'm just really passionate about onboarding merchants and helping increase the amount of Bitcoin merchants that we have and just Bitcoin circular economies. I really like what Pablo was saying about, how different merchants can buy Bitcoin from other merchants. So you don't need to touch fiat, or like people going to merchants to spend Bitcoin. When you spend your Bitcoin at a merchant, you're not selling it at a market sell on like Kraken, like he was saying, right? You're not selling it to Kraken, the exchange. You're trading hands. So when I spend Bitcoin, like here at Funk, on like a coffee, I'm just giving Funk some of my Bitcoin in return for some goods and services. That Bitcoin's not being sold on a market sell on an exchange, for example. So I really like the idea of the circular economy of not needing to touch fiat. So I like trying to help speed up that adoption rate, if that makes sense.
Hey everybody, I'm Jono. I know quite a lot of you here. I've recently moved to Vancouver Island, and there was not much Bitcoin action there when I moved there. So I was like, okay, I want to start a meetup, and happened to bump into another Bitcoiner over there, which then led us to meeting Bitcoin Mechanic and his wife. We've suddenly grown to, we've had 8 meetups. We're up to 30 participants per meetup within the past, since basically February. And Joyce has happened to be educating her friends through a Facebook group for maybe 5 years, and suddenly, she says, I want to start the circular economy, blah, 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 and then people are coming, and then we've been flipping businesses, to set up on Coinos at a massive rate right now. My goal was just to get 8 people to a meetup, and now we're building a circular economy way ahead of schedule than what I thought. So, I'm just interested to talk amongst everybody just to see what everybody's tactics have been with helping merchant adoption, and then.
Hello, everybody. My name is Fijona. I've been living out in Ucluelet for the last 7 years, and I got into Bitcoin about 5 years ago, and I was orange-pilled like that. I was just having lunch with a friend, and he basically offhand mentioned the existence of Bitcoin, still existing. And right away my ears perked up like a gopher in spring. And I was like, what? I thought that died 8 years ago. And he was like, no, it's fine, and you can invest in it. And I was down the rabbit hole immediately. And I think I was about the only person in my town who was down that rabbit hole immediately. I was on Facebook community board. I was calling the local newspaper like, hey, Bitcoin meetup, putting up posters around town, stapling them everywhere. Come to my seminar. I bought about 25 books online, Seb Bunny's book, Scott Diedel's book, Roger's book. Like, I've got this whole stack of books. I would lay them out on a table and invite, everybody for free, and it'd just be crickets in the town. So that's why I sort of said earlier, I feel like I've been screaming into the void in Ucluelet for 5 years. And I was just on the internet by myself, not in meet space with people for 4 full years before I finally went to a Bitcoin block party last year in Vancouver. And that just lit me right up. It was so fun to meet face to face all of the passionate Bitcoiners. And that's when I had first sort of reached the concept of Bitcoin circular economy, rather than just, hey, everybody, this could change the world, you should get involved. It went, okay, we don't have to go straight to the whole world. We can start right here. So living in a tiny tourist town, if you don't know where Ucluelet is, it's about half an hour from Tofino. Tofino has been a little bit more globally famous for quite a while, and they attract a lot of tourists. They're a little bit better set up for the volume of people than Ucluelet. They still get bogged down because we're small and we're a peninsula. We can't expand. But Ucluelet particularly gets really hit by the tourism. Like a pack of decent bacon at the co-op is $29.99 right now. Like, the prices in Yuki are crazy. A load of laundry is $16, instead of putting 4 quarters into a machine. So I see this happening around me. It's not everybody is involved in the tourist industry. So a lot of the town is just fishermen. Myself, I'm a public school teacher. So we have these, regular jobs, and inflation is getting extra far away from us in Ucluelet. So I'm trying to use that lens to get the community involved and saying, hey, we don't have to be crushed under this inflation. We can opt out with Bitcoin, and that's sort of been my approach. And as a public school teacher, I do kind of weasel Bitcoin in wherever I can, without trying to scare any of the families. I give them a heads up. Hey, we're going to talk about the history of money, seashells and wampum and gold and Bitcoin and some other things, and it'll be great. And so I keep it very casual and light for them. And I do give the kids some Bitcoin sometimes. Something I'm asking for from the crowd, if anybody knows about this, is a good way to share Bitcoin with students. So I was talking to Lightning Piggy last year thinking that could work, but it's about $20 to $50 per student just to set that up. So that's not sustainable for a room of 30 kids. And then I heard about the little cards that you can load Bitcoin onto, and then I could give them all $2 or $3. And we got a chicken and an egg situation where I've been talking to all of the merchants in Ucluelet, individually walking into every store, handing them little flyers and invites and information and a website and all this. And I'm just putting it all out there to say, hey, some of the kids in these schools have Bitcoin. Would you be willing to sell them an ice cream cone in exchange for their Bitcoin? And the kids are going, I've got this Bitcoin, I don't know where to spend it. And the stores are going, why would I accept that if there's no one here that has it? So I'm, kind of working both sides. And what I'm thinking, if anybody knows how to program like little cards, say if I could give the kids $5 worth of Bitcoin, and if they throw it in the ocean, that money stays in, my wallet or whatever you'd call it. But if they use it within a couple of months, they could spend it on ice cream. So that's sort of a request that I have from the audience, and also my approach to how I've been trying to get this circular economy going. Yeah.
Sorry, I just realized I wasn't fair by being like Beastie Boys. You guys are 4, not 3. So I'm just going to jump on the microphone. And to Fiona's point, I'm going to pitch some questions. I want to take a role in this conversation. And it's to your point about the chicken and the egg situation. All right. So whoever says circular economies, we automatically think merchant adoption. But if the merchant doesn't know Bitcoiners, then why would they adopt Bitcoin? So to the 3 guys, you were talking about your solution with students there. Is there anything that comes to mind about how to make a circular economy? We've got a circular problem. So how do we solve that circular problem, first of all?
I was going to say step 1, I think went back to your point earlier, is getting, or was it Ben's point, of everybody who comes to the meetup, get everybody to start accepting Bitcoin for their services, because a lot of people are self-employed where I am on the island. So I thought that's a great start, to just get everybody accepting Bitcoin themselves, rather than saying, I want to spend my Bitcoin. How about accept it first? So I thought that was just a really easy one. Start with the easiest thing.
Yeah, there's that as well, and hosting meetups on a very regular basis, not caring about how many people show up as well, right? Because I've been hosting meetups in Vancouver for years, and there's been times where I think there was like 4 people one time or 5 people one time, and then we have had over 50 as well. So if you just be consistent with it, consistency is key, as a lot of us hear about almost everything, right? And the consistency of meetups, it opens up more opportunity for no coiners and business owners to show up to your meetup. And also promotion, the proper marketing and promotion, right? So use the social media channels that we all have access to promote it. Find out other people who are near you in your area who already have a social media presence. Reach out to them, partner up with them in some way. And once they find out that you're on the same wavelength as them, they'll be more than happy to help you. Those are some other points to add. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Oh, do you want to say something?
Oh, I would just like to piggyback on what you're saying, Cole. Is that you said something to me today that reminded me. I was not going to spend my. I was like, nah, I don't want to spend like that. And then it was like, no, spend and replace, spend and replace. And so I just wanted to say, you said that, and also somebody else said that today. So it really kind of hit me today.
Yeah, so kind of the approach that I've been thinking through a lot is incentives, and how can I create incentives for people to want to engage. So maybe I'll just go real quick. So I'll just show this. So this is my paint business. I'm currently offering 35% off if you'd like to buy paint from me if you pay in Bitcoin. And on my invoice, I just have a little blip saying the reason why I can do this is because I believe Bitcoin's superior money. If you would like a quick intro of how to do this, I'm happy to teach you. But it's so difficult to get people to engage their brain, and you have to convince them. But where do you start, and how do you educate them? But we're driven by incentives. So my shtick here lately has been, how can I create businesses, Bitcoin adoption vehicles? So like the people who are coming to my meetups, how can we strategize to incentivize people to want to engage with us? And what that requires for me is giving a little bit of my profitability. But what I'm actually doing is I'm creating the kind of future I want to see. So I want to be the change, right? This might not be for everyone, but how can you put that in your own context of what do I need to do to incentivize these people? Because the education will come later as I give them these incentives. What this does is open a door, when my business is offering this, whether they pay in Bitcoin or not, it's actually a conversation starter of like, well, here's why. And give me 5 minutes, I'll show you how to download a wallet. We'll get you some Bitcoin. And I think just getting people in the door is key, right? So this is pretty new, so I don't have a ton of data yet, but mostly it's been people saying, like, I'm really interested in this. For now, I'm just going to pay with this, even though I'm paying 4% extra because of card fees and different things. But it's generating a ton of interest, right? And so I'm coupling that with, actually, the next step is for me to start a campaign on Facebook with my business, coupling that with the BV Bitcoin meetups.
Why do they have to pay in Bitcoin to receive the advantage?
Because I want to incentivize them to use it. So
But wouldn't it also accomplish it if your prices are just naturally lower, and you say this because I hold it in Bitcoin, and wouldn't that also trigger some thoughts in them, like what else do you turn on that?
right. Well, so that's kind of the theory for the Bitcoin adoption vehicles, is that I would like to create a network of individuals. If we can offer a large range of services, and you can get your life at a 40%, 35% discount. What we're doing is we're bypassing some of the technological hurdles, some of the FUD hurdles, to say, come in, use this, and we're driving the adoption at the same time. yes, we could charge full price or a little bit less, but again, what I'm trying to do is bypass their cognitive dissonance and just tap on their natural incentives of like, well, yeah, I'll learn about Bitcoin if I can get paint for 35% off, or yeah, I'll figure out Bitcoin if I can get my coffee for 40% less on it, you know. And so how do we bypass that? Because I feel like it's critically important to get Bitcoin into the hands of as many individuals as possible. Because when I see the corporate adoption, when I see the potential capture of Bitcoin, like Jeff Booth talks about, by central banks and governments, I feel the urgency of time. And I just want to get this out there to say, like, how can we fight for Bitcoin? Because it's a tool, but the house won't build itself if I leave the hammer on the ground. I have to pick it up. And so what I'm saying is I'm willing to make the sacrifice in order to capture and to implement Bitcoin into as many people's lives as possible.
All right, I'm playing table tennis with myself here. I'll be the brackets, right? So I'll pass it back this way. I had a question that was going to be about Bitcoin circular economies. When I think of Bitcoin circular economies, I think of like Ikazi, I think of Berlin, I think of Uvita, I think of countries that are not Canada, right? So we've got North America, we've got 3 Canadians. What does that vision look like for the Western world, the developed world, the Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, like already integrated, full fiat, hardcore fiat? Is it a harder challenge to create Bitcoin circular economies in these countries compared to other countries? And if so, why? And I have a second question if you can't answer that one, which is to the challenge of, is this a resistance against the fiat structure, like you were saying, you know, the institutionalization of Bitcoin, belonging to Coinbase, belonging to MicroStrategy, belonging to these big companies? Is this a David and Goliath kind of fight here that we're playing? And is it worse playing that fight in North America than it is elsewhere in the world? Loaded question, 3 kind of things. I'll see you on the other side.
I think it is, and I think, it comes down to incentives. That's what I'm harping on. Because in North America, and I assume here in Canada, our money works fairly well. So I don't have much of an incentive, where I feel like in these other economies where it's really taken off, this is a huge solution, right? So I'm not motivated if like, why should I care, right? I need a large incentive to snap me out of my comfortability. I think inflation is starting to cause that, especially in like probably in your town, but I think that's what we're up against. And I do think it's a David and Goliath situation, but I also think that it's winnable. And that's, I'm developing a thesis on that as well, of just how can we disconnect the tether we have to fiat? Because if we can sever that connection, that severs people's ability to manipulate the price, to cause fear, to do paper Bitcoin, to do all that junk. And every generation that's ever faced a problem, you have a choice. You can either sit back and watch it happen to you, or you can stand up and resist and fight. And I think that's what I want to encourage people to do is, what if I just start with my community? What if I just offer it to my friends and family first, right? Start there. And don't despise the little gains, right? But then if we network, what if we can create something bigger to fight back?
Pablo, do you want to say what the 3 questions? So the first one was like how much easier it is to build a circular economy in a place like here compared to other countries, and then the other ones were
West versus like the second, third world, like the global south. Like, is it easier where it's a shit fest, or is it harder in fiat world?
That was the first question.
That was the first question. The second one was like, is it a resistance against like centralization through the Federal Reserve, Bank of Canada, MicroStrategy? Is circular economy a good resistance against that? And the third one I can't remember, but that's enough.
Yeah, sure. So I do think it's easier, to echo some of his points, it's easier to onboard merchants in a country of poverty because they're kind of more incentivized, like you're saying, because their dollar is so bad. And then you were saying that, you know, our dollar in Canada works well compared to a lot of other countries, right? So here in Canada, we are less incentivized to, like, if you're not a Bitcoiner, you're less incentivized to sometimes care if you don't understand Bitcoin, right? Whereas if you go to a place like Uvita, or like I've been to, Bitcoin Lake in Guatemala as well. Yeah, Bitcoin Jungle, which is Uvita in Costa Rica, and Bitcoin Beach, of course, in El Salvador, Bitcoin Valley in Switzerland, and all those places, or yes, the places that are in poverty. Switzerland's not really in poverty. Sorry, yeah. But the places that I've been to in poverty, like in Central America, it was really cool to see people that come from poverty and they had some Bitcoin and they were benefiting a little bit. Like their country benefits more than just being able to spend Bitcoin. It attracts more tourism to their country, which can actually help their economy. And in El Salvador, in Bitcoin Beach, El Zonte, a friend of mine, I know a couple people that have bought real estate there, and their houses doubled in value in like a year because of the international tourism and demand coming to El Salvador, right? And so accepting Bitcoin in your country offers many benefits, more than just being able to spend your Bitcoin, especially in countries of poverty, right? And on the topic of like the centralization, like does a circular Bitcoin economy help protect us from the centralization aspect of like big banks, Federal Reserve, and MicroStrategy? I would say absolutely having a circular Bitcoin economy protects you from, having to put your money in like an ETF, a Bitcoin ETF, right? Because when you have your money in a Bitcoin ETF, there does have much more risk than just having the Bitcoin in a cold storage wallet, spending in a circular Bitcoin economy. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who don't care about setting up cold storage wallets. They don't care about remembering their seed phrase, writing it down. But for the people that are interested in that, we have these circular Bitcoin economies and meetups that educate people about that. Like I always educate people about like cold storage, even though with Coinos it's not a cold storage, but self-custody is important 100%, and I do preach that. So having a circular Bitcoin economy, if you can buy your stuff with Bitcoin from your non-custodial wallet and you can like spend it on all your goods and services, it protects you from needing to put it into like an ETF.
Do you have something to say on that?
Just one thing before I forget. So in regards to the circular economy in the Comox Valley and orange pilling these businesses, it's quite, well, I was going to say, like the Visa card cost is like 3%. And so telling them it's Bitcoin, Coinos, best, quickest wallet for these merchants we find, you can say it's like a 0.1% fee versus 3%. And in these times when fees, like 3% doesn't seem much, but when they're struggling and they're having to pay their staff more and all that kind of stuff, we're noticing that it is a bit of a, people are noticing that 3% will add up. And so I think we have had some good people, even though they say no, it's like they still understand that point. And then the other resistance point was changing their workflow. Because we don't have integrated POSs yet, like your app is great and everybody likes it, but it's one of these coffee shops in Comox, their biggest resistance is the changing of workflow, and they're the busiest in town. So that he's like the owner understands Bitcoin, but he's not willing to accept Bitcoin yet because it's going to screw up the workflow in these busy days. So it's like trying to flip between taking payment for Bitcoin versus taking payment for Visa, MasterCard. It's coming, but that was one of the resistance points. But I'm noticing people are more open to it than like 2 years ago, for example. So I just wanted to add that point.
I could add a quick one. Yeah, sure. Coinos is integrating with Square though too, isn't it? Yeah, so that'll be super streamlined for people that already have Square. So you guys are on it. That's awesome. Overall, more difficult intellectually, I think, to get Canadians on board with jumping into Bitcoin because our money is okay in a frog in a boiling pot of water sort of way. But once they do get it, we have very good access to tech and Wi-Fi and good laptops and smartphones and apps and secondhand smartphones and satellite. And so the tech is readily available. It's just that open-mindedness. And overall, I think Canadians, like, for the most part, kind of love centralization. We love our like free healthcare, even though it's killing us and costs us a lot of tax dollars. I think a lot of Canadians are super bought into our centralized system, and so there's a lot of intellectual hurdles to get over for sure.
Yeah. I'll ask a question, but then after that we'll jump to your questions because I'm asking too many for sure. I just wanted to keep the conversation going. To anybody who wants to answer this, do you think it's necessary to have an aspect of circularity in the economy already before Bitcoin shows up? Like, does the hairdresser need to know the butcher who knows the cobbler? No one has cobblers anymore. I'm from England. Give me a pass. Yeah, my local cobbler is closing down. I just got my boots rehealed. And anyway, this is local economy dying, right? So, like, but do you think, because I orange pilled some people back in the UK, but the reason how it was easy is because I already had relationships with each of these people, and each of those people also spent money in their own businesses. There was a hairdresser, a coffee shop, and a barber, and they all knew each other already. So getting a circular economy, 3 is a triangle, but whatever. Do you think it's necessary for smaller like, is it easier in smaller communities because people know each other? But Vancouver's got a lot of adoption. Like, how does that work? Do we need relationships before Bitcoin shows up?
I think it helps. My incentive, a big part of my incentive for getting the circular economy going is my pinned tweet on Twitter is, what do we want? Hyper Bitcoinization. When do we want it? Gradually and without bloodshed. So I think the more people that are involved, the more spread out they are. When we move into hyper Bitcoinization, and hopefully not, but most likely hyperinflation in the Canadian dollar, the more people that are already on the ark, they're in the life rafts, we're ready to protect each other. Like, I'm not terribly wealthy in Bitcoin. You know, I hope someday, 10, 15 years to be. And when that happens, if people know I've been the Bitcoin person for the last 10 years and their money's just hyperinflated and they look at me, I'm their neighbor, and they're going, I'm coming after that one. You know, like, I want my neighbors to be doing really well. If my whole community is prospering, it helps me to feel safe and comfortable and prospering all together. So it's the decentralization, right? If all 4 of us across Canada have these different networks and it's spreading out like that, I think it just gently, you know, I'm picturing a big puff of clouds. It just gently lands us into a hyper-Bitcoinized Canada instead of a bloodbath, essentially.
I want to touch on the point of, does a smaller community help? Having been living in Vancouver for 20 years and then going to a smaller community of around 60,000, I think the reason why everything's taking off so much over there is because of Joyce, who's been a local member of the community for a long time, and she's been posting stuff about Bitcoin on a Facebook group, and she's had a successful business in the community, so she does know a lot of people. So I'm realizing I get there, I'm like, okay, I want to help this, and then I realize I don't know anybody. And then that trust, I think, is definitely needed to get the foot in the door. And she has that. She was just a bit burnt out, as everybody goes in their ups and downs. And then me and Forrest come along, just the new kids on the block, and then we sort of started the fire again. And then she's back in the game and on fire. And then all that work from the past 5 years of talking to her community, and that now they can see the examples of the inflation, all that kind of stuff, I think has actually helped why we're getting so many merchants on board all of a sudden. So, so I do think knowing people does help actually quite a lot. So I don't know how Cole does it because he's a one-man machine. And yeah.
Okay. I would say having a smaller community where, you know, more people know each other, I think that helps a lot, I would say. Or sorry, it can help a lot. Yeah. And the ratio of you got what you're doing in Comox is, I'm very impressed myself, right? And it's because it's a smaller economy, but your ratio of the amount of businesses that are coming on board and the population, like that, it's really quite something, I would say. And because if you're in like a place like Vancouver or like a city with, like, you know, everyone's like spread out, it does make things a little bit harder to get all the Bitcoiners together like in one room, I find. So that's why when we're trying to onboard merchants, we try to pick places that are going to have at least some traffic, right? And on the point of something you said about it was about if someone doesn't pay you in Bitcoin, it's sparking conversations and awareness, right? So that's a massive point that I think needs to be discussed in all conversations about Bitcoin merchant adoption, because it's not just about wanting to get Bitcoin sales, right? how many people can spend Bitcoin at your store. The amount of orange pilling happening and the amount of Bitcoin awareness that is growing when people see the "We accept Bitcoin" stickers on the doors, and it just sparks so many conversations. Like I've talked to some business owners here that don't have very high volume in Bitcoin sales, but they're happy about the fact that they're generating Bitcoin conversations all the time. And those people who end up buying Bitcoin for the first time, customers of those businesses, they might not necessarily spend their Bitcoin anytime soon, but at least they've gotten into Bitcoin, right? So there's a lot of like orange pilling happening just from having that sticker, right?
Yeah, I would say if you're interested in trying to start a circular economy, the thing that's working the most, where I'm finding success, is the people who know and trust me, or know and trust the people that I've orange pilled. Right. So I think those are the seeds, right? And then just the consistency. So planting seeds every Thursday and every Sunday when I host the meetups and I post on BV Bitcoin and I answer the ridicule messages. I actually welcome the messages because it gives me a platform to educate them on the subject. And I find like I'll get comments from people who just come out of the blue of like, oh yeah, I've been wanting to come to your meetup, but I just can't make the time and blah, blah, blah. So just notice that sometimes you don't see the impact that you're having, but you go for it. And, you know, you, again, being the change you want to see, being the example, and just saying, if I'm a leader, I'm going there and I hope you come with me, and I'm going to try to tailor the way I act and the way I present so that you can come along with. But that intimacy, so this is my strategy, is I've got about 38 people who are part of the group now, and probably 10 or 12 of those who get Bitcoin, they understand it. And my next step is to say, okay, let's go start asking our businesses, hey, would you allow me to pay in Bitcoin? Hey, can I teach you about this? Can I show you how to set it up in like 5 minutes? Maybe the workflow thing isn't super great, but it's as simple as just an iPad on the side, and you can take it on the side for now. You don't have to know every single detail, but so just consistency, and then starting with the people who trust you the most, and then working out from there.
We're getting onto the 30-minute, but I want to do like quick fire now, like one question, one answer, if that's okay. We already have one question. Can we get one answer, and we'll ping pong around? Yes.
I want to know what your thoughts are on how you would approach somebody about how the bank is not really your friend. Because I think that everybody trusts the bank to the point that it's ridiculous. And we all know that the bank's not your friend. So I try and deal with the bank as little as humanly possible. I know that there's a lot of people that are not even using banks or whatever. But I'm just saying, you know, how do you talk to people about that? Because the thing is that I feel that people trust the bank so much, and they think that, oh, I'm good, and you know, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, like really like short answer for each one of us, right? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, that's a common thing that comes up. People say they would rather have their money in a bank account than Bitcoin, right? So what I do often is I point to all the bank failures that have happened, like big banks that are too big to fail, right? So they fail sometimes, and they also censor your money at very inconvenient times. Like they'll pause your access, they'll revoke your access to your bank account at very inconvenient times without telling you ahead of time and without your permission. And legally, when your money is in the bank, you know, you can withdraw when you want in most cases and deposit when you want in most cases, but legally the bank is holding your money and controlling their money, and they can do a lot of stuff with it that you don't see them doing. So they're leveraging your money. So to those that don't know, they're leveraging your money to take on more debt, right? But basically your money is censored. Your money is controlled by the bank, and you don't really control fees. Huge fees, yeah, huge fees. But mainly, yeah, you have a risk of like losing your money someday, and also having your money being censored. But when your money is in something decentralized, like Bitcoin, which is like the opposite of a bank is centralized. When your money is in Bitcoin, you have more control over it, right?
We might get like one more.
Okay.
Conscious of time. one answer? I'm going for Luke. Okay. Nice. Sharpshooter.
To supplement your incentive program, would you ever consider offering cashback incentives in Bitcoin? Let's say combine it with Leo's currency project. The receipt comes out, there's an automatic calculation, there's a small percentage cashback voucher. You can get like
I don't know if that's a question, but that sounds like an amazing idea. Yeah, like, yeah, totally. No, I think, well, and that's why I'm here, honestly, is like to bring these ideas and, you know, to Arnold and me Premier's credit, like that's what we need to do. We need to take these ideas and we need to network and we need to build and sharpen that, because I think that's probably a better idea than just offering a blank discount. Maybe keep the discount or do some combination of both. But the point is that we'll do whatever it takes to really bypass just the blocks that we meet in Bitcoin education, like, you know, the preconceived ideas and the FUD that they're coming in with and all the, you know, I don't want to mess with the technical details. How can we overcome those? That's huge.
Right, we might have to wrap that, but if anybody wants to pick up side conversations, thank you guys. Like, this is something that is happening right now. This is where the pulse, the beating heart of Bitcoin is pulsing through circular economies. It's something we all care about up here on stage, and I think we've had an amazing conversation. I want to thank these 4 guys for being up here and talking about their experiences, their places, and their hard work. Let's give them a round of applause.
Can I just do 5-second chill on this?
5-second chill.
Okay, this is a formula that I created for how to price things in energy without having to touch fiat. If we can decouple Bitcoin from fiat, this is how we beat the large institutions.
That was 5 seconds. Grab a photo and remember this. Like, don't patent that. That's maths. You can't do that. But yeah. All right. So side conversations can be had. By the way, this is the Young Conference. If you do live near any one of these people who's been up on stage, if you are inspired by any of their motivations, just go and see them. Just go and ask them. Just go and ask them, hey, how does Coinos work? Hey, what's going on in Comox? Like, it's happening right now. And these are the winds of change, my people.